Hey, you guys got me with my glasses on today. I've been seeing all this stuff about the Mustang GTD and the ZR1 Corvette and their Nürburgring lap times. I want to weigh in on that, I guess. So many people are talking about it. It's a little silly, in my opinion. So, Nürburgring stuff. Obviously, I've taken you. If you've seen any of my videos, I'm more of a cornering guy than a drag racer, and that might actually limit my audience some. Seems like everybody's into drag racing. I thought when we got into these newer cars, people would get more into cornering, but everything's just drag racing. It's what's your horsepower number and were you quicker than the other guy, and that's really all anyone cares about anymore. People don't even care about Shelbys. We might talk about Shelby some in this too. Anyway. So my background with the Nürburgring, let's talk about that. Never been there, never been to Germany. I would like to visit the Nürburgring and rent a car and drive around it, just to have driven around it. I used to have a sim racing rig, all Fanatic stuff, however you say that, Fanatec, Fanatic, whatever. It was all club sport level, good stuff. I still have the seat and like the wood rig I made for it to all mount to, but I don't have the wheels and pedals anymore. Was just kind of moving away from that after my son was born and didn't have much time for that type of stuff, and so I sold it. And actually, I live in Arkansas. A guy in Australia bought it because they weren't able to get that stuff new there, and so he paid a fair amount of money for it, and then was happy to pay a lot of shipping. It almost doubled what I sold it for in shipping to get it down to him. Having said that, in my sim rig, I loved driving the Nürburgring because it was like, it's kind of flowy, fast corners for the most part, and it's similar to back roads around where I live. And so I've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of laps in that. Because I used to work nights many years ago when I had the sim rig. I worked nights, and then so on my nights off, my wife's asleep, right? And what am I going to do? I played Minecraft, I played GTA 5, and played a lot of Gran Turismo and iRacing and other things, Assetto Corsa and different stuff. So yeah, I've got a lot of laps at the Nürburgring in a sim, right? It's not a super high quality sim, but not bad either. So the GTD versus the ZR1 and ZR1X Corvette. So the Corvette was a little bit faster, and everybody's like, get wrecked, Mustang. And then there's Mustang people both saying that the GTD is a Mustang and isn't a Mustang. And then there's Chevy people saying that the Mustang isn't a Mustang and is a Mustang. And people are all over the place on this, and it's the whole thing's a little goofy. So if you don't know, the Mustang GTD, they take a body, a Ford Mustang shell, and they send it to, I think the company's called Multimatic. And what they do is they cut down essentially to just the cabin is left. Just the front seat part of the cabin. I think they even cut the back section off. And then they build around that basically a GT3 style race car. And that's a way that a lot of these things are done for homologation purposes. And it's really cool that Ford put that out to be a car you can purchase. It's a halo car, right? And so they had the GT 2005, 2006, and then the later GT, which I don't remember, 16, 17, something like that. Honestly, I don't remember. That car didn't really strike a chord with me because I don't know, I was just otherwise occupied. Like, the car's cool and it's awesome. I don't mind that it has a turbo V6 and all that stuff. I guess I was spending time working and hanging out with my kids, so I never really paid too much attention to that one. So, Ford needs a halo car. I'm completely down with that. And before I get any further into this, brand loyalty is dumb. These companies don't care about you. They just want you to spend money, okay? So they put out halo cars, and you buy them. They're cheaper cars because you're excited about the cool halo car. That's the point of halo cars. Now, people are saying, the Corvette's better because it did a faster lap time. And it's an assembly line car, and the Mustang is not an assembly line car. It's kind of a handmade race car, and it's slower, so the Vette's better. Ha ha. Get wrecked, Ford. And I'm not trying to defend Ford here because, like I said, brand loyalty's stupid. But that argument is a little silly, I guess, because we see these ZR1s on the dyno, and some of them have 1,000 horsepower to the wheels, meaning that 1,064 they're rated at is conservative and under probably the worst conditions, really hot and heat-soaked engine and everything. And yeah, I mean, it's a turbo car, so being not heat-soaked and having cooler air is going to make more power. Obviously, within limits, these computers in these cars, they can keep it to a certain point, but we've seen some cars on the dyno I think I saw one that was almost 1,030 to the wheels, and they only had an exhaust, a freer flowing exhaust on it. So that's a powerful car, right? And for a car to have 200 or 300 more horsepower than another car, but the other car, the Mustang in this case, with 800 and something horsepower, I don't remember exactly, but the Corvette's got over 1,000. The Mustang has over 800, so let's say at least 200 horsepower difference, and it is actually more than that. If the Mustangs aren't underrated as well, I don't know about that. However, if the Corvette has at least 200 more horsepower, and it's only a couple seconds faster, around a 7-minute, 13-mile track, that means the Mustang is the better handling car in this case, because the Mustang was close with much less power. So it means it held its speed through corners better. It was able to stop later, hold its speed through corners. So does the Mustang handle better than the Corvette? Yes and no, I guess. It comes down to downforce, right? Because this is kind of where I think it gets a little silly. These tires are just crazy sticky, and they don't last very long on these cars. Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 or whatever. I don't know if that's what they're running, but they're crazy sticky tires. You can turn really good lap times with them, but it's not a tire that lasts a long time. It costs a lot, and it doesn't last very long, and no one is going to use them to anywhere near their limits on the street, and if you are, you're a madman. So that whole thing is silly, and I know the Corvette with the performance pack, whatever, has better more downforce, but that Mustang GTD is going to have even more, because the whole car was designed to be a GT3 style race car. It has that big splitter you can stand on, and the wing that goes into the C-pillars, and there's a lot of downforce happening there. So what that tells me is the Mustang is, my eye is itching, I apologize. That tells me the Mustang is a better handling car, but only because of downforce. Now, the tire widths could be a thing as well. I don't know the tire widths on the GTD versus the ZR1. But what I do know is, given the same tires, the exact same tires on either car, and the same downforce, the Corvette should be faster, right? It has more power. And I don't know the weights of the cars. I think the Corvette is a similar weight or lighter. I don't want to look that up right now. But again, the whole thing is silly. What I'm getting at here is I've seen people defending one side or the other, and it's man, they're both cool cars. They're different cars, right? They are different cars. One is more of a collector car that will go up in value. The Corvette won't go up in value as much. It's not as much of a collector car because it's based on a normal car. I guess the Mustang is based on a normal car too, but come on, it's massively modified. And so, yeah, the GTD will probably hold its value more, or even go up in value in time, versus a Z06 or ZR1 Corvette. But does it matter? Does it matter who Chevy wins or Ford wins? I mean, all of this stuff, I've always thought brand loyalty was stupid, because it's all just plastic, glass, rubber, metal, in just slightly different shapes. It's just the same materials in a Mitsubishi versus a Ford versus a Chevy versus a Dodge versus a BMW. BMW has some really crappy quality. We won't get into that right now. But, oh my gosh, guys. I am seeing so many arguments over something that's so dumb. Like, all the people arguing about it, not that they can't afford to buy one, probably can't afford to buy one, but like, just enjoy it. Like, Ford came out, put their times out. Chevy put their times out a little bit faster. The CEO of Ford says, hey, game on. Let them butt heads a bit. We get videos out of it to watch and be entertained. That's what it is. They're going to entertain us. I mean, they're probably planning this. I wouldn't be surprised. I really wouldn't be surprised if Ford and Chevy planned this out a little bit for the ZR1 to be a little faster. But Ford knows that they can come back and actually beat that time already. And then Chevy can probably compete with that. I wouldn't be surprised at all if the leaders of the two teams got together and came up with this as a marketing stunt. See, what you guys might not realize, Ford and Chevy work together a lot. Like that 10-speed transmission that's in the F-150s and the Silverados and the Mustangs and was in the Camaros. They developed that together, right? Because transmissions are extraordinarily expensive to develop. They came up with that together. These companies aren't the battling things that you think they are. They're two companies in the same field, and sometimes they work together on things. I worked for a manufacturing company that made HVAC, and they actually worked with other HVAC companies to buy parts from them, or manufacturers, like large manufacturers, right? They worked with others to like have the same footprint, and so maybe if you have this one brand, you would replace it with that same brand later on, but you would have the option to replace it with our brand because it's the same footprint, right? Now, that wasn't direct working with, but there's a lot of this stuff that goes on. When I say buying parts from each other, that happens a lot. A lot of these companies were using the same manufacturers of scroll compressors. There's only a handful of those that make those compressors. So these companies, they'll work together at the high levels. Hey, you don't buy them all. We can work out a deal. We can back and forth. Hey, you need this certain part for the circuit board. We have extra of those, so we can make. They make stuff happen, right? And so again, yeah, the Ford and Chevy thing. It's not the fight that everyone wants it to be. And honestly, I think that anyone that gets all caught up in this huge fight is just being a little silly, just a little silly. So, while I'm here, actually no, I take that back. I was going to talk about the Shelby thing with them blocking people from their social media. That's a different video. I'm going to end this recording here and make that into a different video because, hey, that's what I'm doing these days, right? So, like and subscribe to Cheap Old Cars and Audio. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope I didn't pop my P's too much or blow out the mic any. I need to get a pop filter. I had one at one point, but I gave it away to a friend that was trying to start a podcast. I gave him a really nice mic boom, retractable mic boom from Rode, and then pop filter. So hopefully he'll get that podcast started. And if he sees this, I'm calling you out, and you get that podcast started. Yeah. Please like and subscribe, and I'm going to make maybe a couple more videos like this. I don't know if you haven't watched all my videos, I'm not working right now. So this is what I'm doing for my job, trying to build up this channel and see what I can do here. And I've got a few more months where I can do this before I got to start really actively hardcore looking for a job. And then if this doesn't work out, then I'll go back to the corporate world. Please don't make me go back to the corporate world. I really, really, really don't want to. Thanks for watching, guys.